Your keyboard is an alphabetical soup, and you probably thought it was designed to slow you down. Wrong. That story is a myth. The truth is far stranger. Everything starts in 1867 with a newspaper editor, a group of telegraph operators, and a decision that still controls the movement of your fingers 150 years later. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 1867. Christopher Latham Sholes spent his days in a machine shop. He worked as a newspaper editor and had done state-level politics. One day he reads an article in Scientific American describing a British invention for typing and decides to build his own version. He recruits a lawyer, Carlos Glidden, and a printer, Samuel Soule. Actually, their first working prototype used alphabetical order, from A to Z. There was just one problem: the machine typed from underneath, which meant you couldn't see what you were typing until you pulled the paper out, also called blind writing. The very first sale of this machine went to Porter's Telegraph College in Chicago, which meant telegraph operators became the primary users and testers of the device. These operators had very specific needs. For decades, people repeated the same explanation. The QWERTY layout separated common letter pairs to prevent mechanical jamming. When you type too fast, the metal arms would collide and stick together. But in 2011, two researchers from Kyoto University, Koichi Yasuoka and Motoko Yasuoka, published their findings in a paper called On the Prehistory of QWERTY. What they found surprised everyone. Telegraph operators played a direct role in shaping the keyboard through constant feedback. The problem: they faced ambiguity in American Morse code because it relied on timing and short pauses between sounds. Those pauses were easy to mishear. Operators asked for S to be placed near both Z and E so they could correct mistakes quickly. That's why those letters still sit together on your keyboard today. Similar requests reshaped other keys too. Operators also wanted Y moved next to T. Look at your keyboard and find E and R. They're sitting next to each other. ER is the fourth most common letter pair in English. So if the goal had been to separate frequent combinations to prevent jams, that placement would make no sense at all. March 1st, 1873. The day Remington and Sons signed a contract to manufacture 1,000 typewriters. This was an ex-firearms company that needed to diversify after the Civil War, and typing machines seemed a promising business. July 1st, 1874, brought the Remington No. 1 to market at a price of $125. Sales flopped. December 1874 arrived with only 400 units sold. 4 years later, Remington tried again. Remington introduced a second model with a shift key, uppercase and lowercase letters, one machine. By 1890, 100,000 units were sold. By 1893, the Union Typewriter Company was formed, adopting QWERTY as the industry standard, gradually spreading QWERTY into everyday life. Day after day, attempts to replace QWERTY never stopped. In 1936, psychologist August Dvorak introduced a new layout. It promised efficiency, 70% of keystrokes on the home row. QWERTY managed just 32%. The scientific evidence backing it up turned out surprisingly weak. A major government study in 1956 put the claims to the test and found no speed advantage at all, and reaching your previous typing speed required about 100 hours of retraining. Alternatives still exist today. One is Colmac, used by roughly 100,000 people worldwide. It changes 17 keys from QWERTY and claims 74% home row typing. Your keyboard abandoned alphabetical order because telegraph operators in the 1870s needed something better for transcribing an obsolete Morse code. Remington manufactured millions of typewriters carrying this layout, and by the time anyone started questioning whether the design worked well, changing it would have cost more than any possible improvement could deliver, and it stayed there for 150 years. Christopher Latham Sholes sold his patent rights for $12,000. His business partner, James Densmore, collected about $1.5 million in royalties, roughly $57 million in today's money. Sholes died in 1890. The same year, Remington's typewriter sales crossed the 100,000 mark. What Sholes probably never imagined is that billions of people would still rely on his layout in 2024, tapping away on glass screens and plastic keyboards, fingers automatically finding the same positions that telegraph operators memorized a century and a half ago.